Welcome to the Year of the Movie podcast, the podcast where we talk about movies from the year of the movie 2023. I'm Sebastian.
I'm Maggie.
And welcome once more.
Yeah.
Our movie for today is Somebody I Used to Know. Disclaimer, this is our second time recording this.
So we know this is probably going to be a longer episode.
Yeah. We had a weird thing where none of the audio stayed.
Which is convenient for a podcast.
Yeah.
So it looked pretty good.
It looked pretty good. Had all the video that you would want.
So we started this podcast. If this is your first time listening, I guess. It's a goofy year for movies. And there are a lot of interesting movies that have come out this year and will continue to come out this year. This is one of them. It's Somebody I Used to Know. Other movies that have come out this year that are goofy. Cocaine Bear and 65. Legally have to mention them every single time.
Yes,
Fast X came out this year.
Yeah, we remember that today. We were like, oh, a Fast and Furious movie came out this year.
Yeah. Paint, the Owen Wilson, Bob Ross spoof thing.
Strays. Some other weird movies that are coming out later.
Yeah.
Some interesting ones too, though. Like I just saw.
Yeah.
Like, I just saw the trailer for The Inventor, which is like a stop motion movie about Da Vinci.
It's like the like Rudolph and like that classic animation. I cannot remember the name of the studio right now.
But it's got Matt Berry, Daisy Ridley, whatever.
Or Riley. I don't know. Now I'm Mandela affecting myself.
I thought it was Riley.
Stephen Fry.
Yeah. Bryce, do you know?
We've also got the Joaquin Phoenix
Napoleon movie.
movie.
Yeah.
Also, hello, I'm here.
Yeah, we should mention that.
So
this is our first episode with Bryce switching.
When it comes out, this will be the first episode with Bryce. This is, as we've mentioned, because we're re-recording this is not the first episode we have recorded with Bryce.
We have recorded...
Not my fault for that first one.
No.
I think we have recorded 8 episodes. We're on 8 or 9 that are recorded, I think.
Yeah.
And then we just recorded a different thing before this. So Bryce has been doing this for weeks now.
We're pros now.
But for you watching or listening, this is Bryce's first time.
I'll intentionally do everything shoddy.
So like you're trying to get back into it?
Yeah. Exactly. Worse than I did before.
Yeah. This is also the first movie that we have seen more than once this year that we're talking about. Because we watched this early on because it is a Amazon original movie. So when it came onto Amazon, we watched it pretty soon after it came out, and then rewatched it before we did our first episode attempt, and just to be like, was it really as annoying as we thought it was? Spoilers for what we think of the movie, and then watched it again, and it was like, I actually have more notes for this now. So now you get that. The synopsis for this movie is: on a trip to her hometown, workaholic TV producer Allie reminisces with her ex Sean and starts to question everything about her life. Things only become more confusing when she learns Sean is getting married to Cassidy, who reminds her of the person she used to be. What were your initial impressions when you heard about this movie? Do you remember that?
Yeah, initial impressions were something like, I like Allison Brie.
Yeah.
It's directed by Dave Franco.
And then they co-wrote it
together.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's interesting. I think the trailer showed that Danny Pudi was in it. I think they showed...
Yeah.
Like maybe even a brief flash.
And that he and Haley Joel Osment are like the blink and you miss it. This is the cast.
And I was like, this looks like a silly rom-com
I didn't
type of thing.
expect it to be like the best movie that we were going to see this year.
No, but I thought it was going to be like that's...
Thought it was going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it gave us a lot to talk about.
It sure did.
Yeah. This is, we talk about the trailer in these episodes, but this is the movie that made us talk about the trailer.
Yeah, like this is really the big reason why we talk about trailers, was because this trailer was different.
Yeah. Which we will get into.
Yeah. So I can read the trailer.
Okay.
I think at this point it would be my turn.
Sure.
I really can't remember, but I'll do it anyways. It begins with twinkly, quirky music playing as we see a man enter a bar and a woman sees him and begins acting awkwardly, obviously trying to avoid catching his eye. And she slides down under the booth at the table that she's sitting in. The man sees her and says, "Allie?" And she slides back up and saying, "Sean!" Like she obviously didn't see him there. They catch up, and it's established that Allie is back visiting home, and Sean is her ex-boyfriend from a decade before. They kind of flirt, and we see a montage of them hanging out all night in locations that involve eating a giant pretzel near a maypole and taking a selfie with a reindeer while romantic music plays. More dialogue is between Allie and Sean, and it shows that they're both the others, the one that got away. We see them kiss kinda in a car. It's morning, and Allie goes... The next morning, I guess, is what we are led to believe. Allie goes to Sean's house and tells him that she hasn't felt that free in a long time, making it clear that she wants to get back together. Sean's mom interrupts the conversation and is surprised but fully welcomes Allie. Sean's family clearly still likes Allie, and we cut to Allie sitting down at a large family dinner while Sean's mom gives a speech about how thankful she is that everyone could be there, hinting, including Allie, to celebrate. She then gives a toast to the bride and groom, and surprise, Sean is the groom, engaged to Cassidy, who isn't Allie, and he gives a shocked Allie an apologetic look across the table. Allie is understandably upset, but then not so understandably narrates, "I need to see this through whatever it is," while looking through a box of mementos from her relationship with Sean. Her friend even asks, "You mean like between you and the groom?" And Allie responds, "We could just call him Sean." Cassidy then enters the narrative, clearly reestablishing that she's engaged to Sean. And Allie says to Cassidy, "If you're uncomfortable with me being here, I can leave." And Cassidy responds, "It wouldn't be very cool of me to kick out one of Sean's oldest friends." Not quite sarcastically, but making it pretty clear that she doesn't appreciate that Allie is there. We see Cassidy on a stage performing in her band, and Allie seems to actually be getting to like her. She says, "She actually reminds me a lot of me at that age." And Allie and Cassidy start to bond and even streak across a golf course together, surprising Sean and his friends. We see Cassidy walking down the aisle with Allie recording on her phone, Allie looking upset or at least uncomfortable. Her friend tells her that she's gone way too far, and she responds, "I know, but I don't know what to do anymore." Then there's a shot of Allie in a bedroom alone. She gets a knock on her door. She turns to open it, and we see shots of both Cassidy and Sean on the other side, separately, like not in the same shot, two different shots where they're on, implying that either one of them could be seeking her out. We see Allie and Sean are close enough to kiss again, and a shot of Cassidy holding Allie's face, also close enough to kiss. The title card of the movie, Somebody I Used to Know. Yeah, so that's the trailer. We'll get into the differences in the movie, but also just like we can't legally show trailers on this, so like if
that's why we talk about them.
If we talk about it and you're like, "That's interesting," or whatever, then you can
stop and watch the movie now.
Stop and watch the movie now.
Yeah. So it gives off kind of a Hallmark vibe.
Yeah.
This movie wasn't released around Christmas, but it was a Valentine's movie. So the town is like very Christmas 365 or days of the year kind of thing. It's not quite Hallmark in the way that it's not clear if the couple that like you typically root for will actually end up together in the end, and it really wants to subvert classic rom-com tropes and show that relationships can be messy.
Yeah.
And it kind of does that
a little bit
to varying levels of success.
Yeah. So we are now getting into spoiler territory, like big time spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen this movie and you're like, "I really don't want Somebody I Used to Know to be spoiled," stop watching and I guess go watch it and then play the rest of this. You okay, Bryce? You standing up?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I see. Well, if you don't want to be spoiled, Bryce, it's too late because we've already talked about it in front of you.
Oh, darn.
So the trailer sets up like maybe a love triangle.
Yeah.
And the movie does not fully, it almost does it, but it doesn't fully commit to having an actual love triangle. So things that actually happen in the movie is also Allie makes several bad decisions.
Just so many.
So she comes back to her hometown. She runs into Sean, oops, he's getting married that weekend. And then she's a producer or like showrunner basically of a reality TV show that's in LA that's on like, it has been canceled. It's on shaky ground. So she's like, she really doesn't know what to do with her career. But then Sean's mom is like, perfect. You can be the videographer for the wedding.
Oh yeah, with your cell phone.
With your cell phone. So that's like her excuse for staying through the rest of the plot basically, or like seeing this through.
Yeah, which is like the flimsiest of excuse.
Yeah.
But...
like there are so many moments. I know that's the whole point of the movie and why we watched it, but like there's so many moments where you can just be like, oh, I actually just had a healthy interaction with an ex, and I'm gonna leave it there.
Yep.
And I'm just gonna walk away.
Yep.
And then she just actively chooses not to do that.
Cool.
And like the closest that she gets to doing that is so she like stays through the family dinner, like their engagement dinner basically. She finds out there, like the trailer sets up, she finds out that that's their engagement dinner, and then she's like she's talking to Sean's mom for a lot, and then she's like, you know what, I really gotta go actually. And then Sean follows her out and she's like, I'm so sorry I was here, or something like that. Yeah. And then she leaves, hangs out with Benny, I think that's his name.
Danny Pudi's
Danny
character?
Pudi. Yeah, that's Benny. She hangs out with him, like, you know, complains to him or whatever. Yeah. But then like right there, it could have just been done of like, oh, what a wacky date I just had. But then she looks through her box of mementos about the relationship and like the photos that you take when you're at the height of the relationship with the person that you're with, and she was like, I'm actually going to show up tomorrow at the thing that I was kind of invited to by his mom and keep this plot going. Yep. And it's very frustrating, and they like try and redeem her at the end, because it's also like the title of the movie, Somebody I Used to Know, is about herself, and Allie finds herself again, and like I appreciate that aspect of it, but the decision making skills are not great.
Allie obviously makes bad decisions.
Yeah.
Sean makes worse decisions.
Sean sucks.
Sean is one of like the worst characters. Like, he isn't abusive. I'm not gonna say he's abusive.
No.
But he's a shitty person.
He is really dumb.
There's really nothing redeeming about him in this movie.
Yeah.
But you're still supposed to be happy.
So they don't, or they do kiss in that, like, are they kissing thing from the trailer? So Sean's whole introduction scene, he runs into Allie. It's like, crazy seeing you here, that kind of stuff. And then they talk for a little bit, and then he's like, actually, can I buy you a drink, or can I buy you dinner, or something like that. Like, he continues the interaction. And then when it goes into that montage of them visiting all the Christmas town places, then he's the one who's like, let me show you your old haunts, like, let me get you interested in your hometown again. And like, he initiates every single step going forward. And then she kisses him in the car when he's dropping her off, and that's the first moment that he gets kind of awkward and is like, oh no, there are consequences to my actions. And then just kind of shrugs at her across the table when it's like, womp womp, I'm engaged. And you find out later that
he purposely went to the bar because Allie ran into someone that she went to high school with.
Some guy posted a photo of her.
Yeah, and Sean saw that on Instagram, immediately left what he was doing and went to the bar
to go and see her. And so like, her saying, I gotta see this through, is annoying, but that's also what his thought process was of like, actually, not even I've got to see this through, but I'm going to make this something that I have to see through. And they don't really, like, the movie does, in clumsy ways, it tries to do the thing of like, real life relationships are messier than Hallmark makes it seem like, but they never address how much Sean sucks. Like, he apologizes to Cassidy,
but doesn't really do anything to change.
There's no active...
He gets angry at everyone when he made the terrible choices.
Yeah, there are no, like, he apologizes, but there are no actions that the movie shows of him, like, backing up that that's, like, a real thing that he's willing to compromise on or anything.
If it was a situation where it was a type of movie where everyone sucks and like that's the point, then he would fit in. But because they do try to like they redeem Allie.
Yeah.
And Cassidy is pretty cool all the way through.
Cassidy's fine.
Yeah, and then like all the side characters are good people.
Yeah.
He just like really sticks out because he's the shittiest one.
Yeah, he's really not worth fighting for. And they don't really fight each other. But like Cassidy's engaged to Sean. Sean is very focused on his family. So like the terms of their engagement is that once they get married, Cassidy will quit her punk band that she's in and she will move to the house that Sean built, which is on a shared property with his parents. So it's like very his family focused. So she has to give up like her dreams basically to continue this relationship. Allie was in a similar position 10 years ago and she chose to follow her dreams and go to LA, which is another writing thing that I have issues with. But so that's like,
as people who moved to Cincinnati for production.
Sure. But also she says, I needed to move to LA. That's where the opportunities are. Sure. That's fine. But she's a documentarian.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of documentaries is that you can find the stories literally anywhere. Yep. And she's like, no, I have to go to LA.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was weird. But that's like the thing that they bond over. And then they have a interesting relationship dynamic through the movie, which like the trailer really cuts in a very specific way. Weird airplane scene.
Yeah, so there's a scene where Allie is on her way back home from LA. She gets on to an airplane. She sits down. She has her cat with her in a little pet carrier underneath her.
The movie does the annoying shorthand thing of like, this woman is
she has a cat.
She's alone and she's made poor relationship decisions. She lives with her cat.
Yeah. She sits down at the window seat. Next to her sits a couple with a new baby
who is upset.
The baby's crying. Is not upset.
Like actively screaming while they're sitting down, and the mom is like,
and the mom is very nice about it. She's like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Like I get this sucks.
Yeah.
Right. Alison Brie's character is like, oh, that's okay. I think I'm just gonna try to get some rest.
Yeah.
Which
puts in her headphones and closes her eyes. Yeah.
A normal interaction. Everyone
she wasn't
here,
like, I hate your baby.
Yeah, everyone here was kind, right? You're like, yep, this does suck. I agree. And then you go about your business. You don't need to keep talking. You are strangers. Like, that's fine. It cuts to later on. Alison Brie's character is asleep.
Everyone's asleep. The baby has stopped crying.
Yeah. And then there's some turbulence. And no, there's no turbulence. Sorry. Alison Brie wakes up because her cat is vomiting.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh no, you're sick. And then she looks at it and she's like, oh, you vomited everywhere. And diarrhea?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the cat has puked and pooped all over. And
don't worry, it never comes back up again.
And she picks up the cat and tries to sneak by the parents and the baby to get to the bathroom to clean up the cat. And she's like, excuse me, I'm just gonna sneak by.
Yeah.
And the mom wakes up for a second and goes, we're just trying to rest. Very snarky.
Both of the parents are like, she just fell asleep.
Yeah.
Like, they're very upset at her.
Yeah.
And then repeating the thing that Alison Brie said to them back.
It was very weird.
Yeah.
And then it gets worse. I mean, that interaction alone is just a weird scene that is not necessary to the movie at all.
Yeah.
But then the scene keeps going and Alison Brie just like sneaks by them, and then there's turbulence and it causes all of the mess from the cat to spill onto the dad.
Which he freaks out. The baby wakes up again and starts crying.
Yeah. At this point is when you can be upset with Alison Brie.
Yeah. And then it cuts to her in the taxi on the way home.
Yeah.
And like smelling her sweater and being like, I'm stinky now.
Yep. It was such a weird scene that is bad and it makes no sense. I want to know the reasoning they left this scene other than it's Dave Franco
I think it was just supposed to be like, 'cause this movie is a rom-com.
Yeah, I guess.
So you have to have some com to go with the rom. But this is a weird type of comedy.
It was not the right tone.
It just wasn't really funny.
No.
But
we're also not people who like find.
I don't find vomit humor the best.
Yeah.
But then also, it's not really funny because I feel like the initial premise is flawed because like what was the correct interaction that she was supposed to have? I get that this is
helping put the baby to sleep.
Right. Like, I get that this is another way of trying to establish that like this is a woman that chose her career over relationships and then like doesn't interact with people in great ways. But this is the worst situation to show it or like to try and show that because I'm just like, no, that's not Alison Brie's baby. Yeah. I'm on her side.
Yeah. So that was weird.
It's like a short scene, but I feel like it really slows things down.
It slows things down and it just stands out, at least in my mind.
Yeah. Do we think it subverted genre and trope expectations well for being a rom-com?
Not particularly.
I think not. Like it tries, but it doesn't quite stick the landing on it.
Yeah, like stuff. They definitely try because I think in a typical rom-com, Allie would end up with
Sean would leave Cassidy for Allie.
Yeah.
It would be, instead of being about finding yourself, it would be about finding the right person at the right time again.
Yeah. So like it subverts that, I guess.
Yeah.
But it still ends in a wedding.
It ends in a wedding.
Sean and Cassidy still get married.
Sean, it doesn't, even though he apologizes to both Cassidy and Allie, it doesn't, like his apology to Allie is him saying I'm sorry as she's leaving and she's just like, I know, me too, let's drop it and let's go. And like that's probably the best way that they could have left each other at that point.
But he's still just like just sucky guy that somehow gets the hot girl in the rom-com.
Right. And it also like puts their actions on the same level of him saying I'm sorry and her being like, forget it, like I also have blame in this, which she does. She invites Cassidy's parents to the wedding,
who are
estranged because Cassidy's bisexual and her parents aren't accepting of that. So as a like she, I guess in her defense, so like, or in Allie's defense, she thought this through. She was talking to her like assistant person, was like, hey, I need you to find this couple for me. Like there's a wedding, I need you to send them this wedding information, basically. And then she goes, you know what, forget that, what am I doing, that's awful, or something like that. But the assistant is like distracted by the news that the show is not canceled, it's been picked up by something else. So she sends the information on to the parents. So like she almost had a she was almost self-aware for a second, but then the plot doesn't let that happen.
Nope.
It's just meh. Yeah.
But Allie and Cassidy, their relationship is weirdly the strongest. Like
it's the most developed part of the movie.
Mature.
Yes.
Like it starts out not mature, but then like they talk and like things.
I feel like this movie is very inspired by rom-coms of the 80s and 90s. They like specifically mentioned My Best Friend's Wedding at one point. They're like, are you trying to pull a My Best Friend's Wedding? And she's like, no, I would never. But I feel like if it was made during that time period, then instead of Allie and Cassidy like finding common ground and being able to relate to each other, I feel like it would have done some wacky hijinks of like, you know, she tried to, or she put something in Cassidy's shampoo and now her hair is a different color. Like I feel like it would have been that kind of comedy of just trying to get at each other, and they definitely would have been pitted against each other instead of the way that this movie handles it, where like they're not friends at the beginning, but the way that they handle that is they sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah. A big problem.
Whoa.
I had something in the back of my throat. So like we said, we were going to talk about this because the trailer is so different, and the trailer is so different because
queerbait is a big word, but I feel like it fits.
Yeah.
the
trailer leads you to believe that there is a love triangle.
An explicit love triangle.
But where like
instead of like the plot that I thought from seeing the trailer for the first time was Allie runs into Sean, has a magical night with him or whatever, and then finds out that he's engaged, and then tries to do a my best friend's wedding, but then sees Cassidy, interacts with her more, and then falls for Cassidy instead. Yeah. I thought that's how it was going to go, and that's how it was going to subvert
really how
things.
I feel the trailer was edited.
Yeah. Spoiler, that does not happen.
Not even remotely.
So a couple different quotes that I found about the movie in various reviews from Coeur d'Alene Press. Is that how you pronounce that? You know French.
Coeur d'Alene.
That one.
Please.
So it says the screenplay strains hard to align these characters into a love triangle. No parentheses. No way any decent friend of Cassidy or Sean would welcome a lovelorn ex-girlfriend to leech onto the groom for an entire weekend of pre-wedding activities. The script falters with the setup, but nevertheless brings Cassidy and Allie together in believable and surprisingly poignant ways, rather than pitting the two against each other in superficial and sexist ways. Yes, but again, the trailer then makes that seem like it's romantic instead of platonic.
Yes.
And then from No Film School, the film reimagines the traditional rom-com trope of a love triangle and finds all the characters falling for each other in one way or another. Again, not quite.
They fall for each other platonically.
Yeah. This is just a personal pet peeve. This is not a triangle. This is a V. This is... Sean is the connector point between the two of them.
V for veg.
Some of your worst work yet.
Yeah, Sean, listen. If the left leg is Allie and the right leg is Cassidy, Sean wants to meet right in the middle. Right at the veg. Bryce, you don't approve?
Oh, Sean's the clit. I get it now.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's small and sensitive.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Allie and Cassidy are able to relate to each other in a wacky situation, but they aren't ever really romantically put together, even hinted at throughout the movie, even when they're literally naked together.
Or kissing.
Or they actually kiss. So, the night before the wedding, the streaking thing, they get high. Allie used to be kind of a hippie, and it's like...
Was a nudist at one point.
Yeah, she was a nudist. It's a thing that she's grown out of in the last 10 years or whatever, but it's like it's still somewhere inside of her. And then Cassidy is like, that's so cool. I really respect that. And then they get a little bit high and they streak across the golf course together. It's like Allie says it in the movie. She's like, it oddly felt like a natural progression of the conversation. I kind of agree. Like, it didn't seem that weird.
No.
And then like it was fine. And then the night before the wedding, Cassidy thinks that Sean invited her parents to the wedding and not Allie, because Sean is so
family oriented.
He's so family oriented, and it's a thing that they have fought about before. Yeah. Is like, I'm close to my family, why aren't you close to yours when you have access to them? Sean's also adopted, so he's like sensitive about biological connections, which is a thing that the movie talks about every once in a while in kind of a weird way. So Allie goes to Cassidy's room, I think after Sean goes to her room. Sean goes to Allie's room at first, and he's like, well, Cassidy and I broke up, you know what that means. And then Allie is like, no, actually, no thank you. And then she goes to Cassidy's room, I think to apologize and to tell her like, you and Sean are better for each other than he and I ever were, or something like that. And then they have a whole heart-to-heart thing. Cassidy has her hands on Allie's face, kisses her,
and then they fall asleep together.
And then it cuts to the next morning. The two of them wake up next to each other, but not in like a morning after sex way. It's just Allie fell asleep at her place, and then Sean is now knocking on the door.
Yeah. It's weird because they specifically chose scenes in the trailer that like are very much
like you can have a physically affectionate relationship with a friend, but then to also use that as the marketing fuel for your movie is weird.
I wanted to say the scene where Sean and Allie are talking the night before their wedding. I think is that the scene where like for a split second Allie is considering it still, but he says something along the lines of, "Don't you wish we could have made different choices?
We hadn't wasted the last 10 years of our lives."
Yeah,
and then that's what makes...
She reasonably was like, "I don't think I wasted the last 10 years."
Yeah, because there's like in the car, like the first night that they spend together and like reunite, and then in the morning then she kisses him, and it's the same thing of like, I think they go in for a hug first or something, but like her hair gets caught in his beard and she does the like hair behind the ear thing, and so it's like it's that mirrored again of like her hair gets caught in his beard and then he says that and then she stands up and walks away from him instead of leaning in. It's a good mirror thing of like, you see the growth of her character. It's just Sean sucks in both of them. Back to the is it queer baiting thing. Some lines to me imply a deeper connection between Allie and Cassidy. So I know like a trailer is supposed to make you wonder how the plot of the movie works. But a line from the trailer was, "I know, but I don't know what to do anymore." And that's two lines that are cut together. In the movie, the line is, "I know, I'm stopping now." And she says that after Cassidy's parents get there. And then she's like, "I've made a horrible mistake. Who I don't recognize myself," like blah, blah, blah. So the trailer version leaves a lot more up in the air because that's around the time of like, you don't really know exactly what's going on with the wedding activities. And then Danny says something like, seems like you guys have a lot more going on," to Allie after she and Cassidy were seen streaking, instead of just people being like, "Oh, that's cool that you guys are friends now." Like everyone in Sean's family especially is really happy to have Allie there, and then instead of being like, "Great, there's no awkwardness for any of us," people are being like, "You guys are buddies." And then a lot of what we learn about Cassidy is coupled with reminding us that she is bisexual. A lot of her backstory, or like when she talks to Allie and talks about past relationships that she's been in and comparing that to Sean, or, you know, just getting to know a person, then she will just casually say like, "My ex-girlfriend had an issue with that," or something like that. It's never really dwelled on or anything, but it is like always reminding you that Cassidy is also into women, and Allie is a bit of a hippie, so who knows what could happen. So I just think there's a gayer version of the script out there. And I would like to see that version of the movie more than this one, unfortunately.
But maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. We're just wrong. Maybe it's not. So please, if you go watch the trailer, please let us know. If knowing now that it is not, there's no gay relationship in this movie. Knowing that, watch the trailer and please let us know.
Which is why I wanted to watch it twice, to be like, is it, that's why I was so annoyed at it. It was like, is it actually just as frustrating watching it a second time? And I felt frustrated watching it a second time, but I don't know. I do also know, because Alison Brie mentioned it while doing press for the movie, that she is also bisexual. So I don't think that this is like a misstep. I think what probably happened is this is an Amazon movie. So there were studio people that were involved in the marketing for the trailer. And that's why all of that happened. Again, nothing to back that up, but this is what I am assuming. I don't think it was intentional on Alison Brie's part or anything. But it is frustrating.
It is, some good things. The cast.
The cast is very good.
It's a really fun cast. Obviously, we have Alison Brie as Allie, Jay Ellis as Sean, Kiersey Clemons as Cassidy, Danny Pudi as Benny, and Haley Joel Osment as Jeremy. I love Haley Joel Osment.
Jeremy's
just a great character.
He's Sean's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Haley Joel Osment is at a point in his career where he is just taking weird, goofy roles, and they're all silly and whatever. And he's just so fun.
Does like the Daniel Radcliffe approach of I'm gonna say yes to things I want to now.
Yeah.
And that's always a fun point in someone's career. Jay Ellis, I think his big thing, Alison Brie, obviously most people know her from Community. Jay Ellis, I think Top Gun Maverick was his big thing that he has also been in. Kiersey Clemons, we know from a couple different things. I know her from Dope. I know she's been in a lot more stuff besides that. Danny Pudi, also Community. Haley Joel Osment, everything.
Yeah. He's all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the cast. That's something that we did like.
I don't dislike the ending.
No, I don't dislike it either. So like it ends where Cassidy and Sean, they get married, and Allie goes off and she films a documentary about a nudist colony.
So the reality show that she was working on was like Desert Island or something like that. It's basically like Love Island but with chefs, and it was like very much making fun of like the reality TV thing. And she's essentially like lost what she was originally going for with documentaries, and then the end of the movie she makes a documentary that like is true to something that she really believes in, and then she also films it with the whole crew naked because the subject of that she was interviewing was really nervous about being on camera, so she's like, I'll make you more comfortable, instead of what you saw her doing earlier, which was like just sitting in silence until the subject said something that she could use. Something
like juicy for a commercial or something.
So she finds herself, has better interactions with people. She's visiting her mom on the weekends more often.
And then it's hinted that like she might have a romantic thing from one of the people who worked on the who earlier in the movie rejected her, but now that she has found herself, then I think people are now open to the real her or whatever. And so Bryce, you raised your hand.
Okay, so I just watched the trailer. Having never watched it before. I can see what you guys are getting at. I get like, I went in, erased what you guys had just said, just looking at it factually, no volume. Just the way that everyone was looking at each other, the way that they cut it, absolutely.
So we have Bryce on our side. Still let us know.
He is unbiased.
Let us know in the
Mostly
comments.
unbiased.
Go watch that trailer and let us know if you agree that there is a weird queer baitness happening.
The ending of the movie, she also sees on Instagram that Cassidy is still touring with the band.
But now pregnant.
She's pregnant, and Sean is like, it's a selfie that he took, so like they're together and happy and whatever.
He's making it work.
Like
he showed some growth in that he
compromised and that she could keep her job.
Men. The writing was a little sloppy, clunky. It wasn't always natural, but it wasn't like a stylized movie that could get away with having weird.
Like Wes Anderson isn't naturally delivered dialogue, but it's stylized, like it works for that specific thing. And it was just like, I feel like you said when we were watching it one of the times, you're like, I know Alison Brie is a better actress than this.
She's great, and she just was not. I don't know if maybe like Dave Franco wasn't the right person to direct her, but the script seemed like it was just so clunky that like I could tell it was Alison Brie and not the character.
There were some times where it was like, I am very aware that an actor is delivering this line instead of like thinking about it as Allie and Sean. The soundtrack, pretty good.
It was a good soundtrack. We like soundtracks. That's a big theme of the show, I think.
Yeah.
On to production facts.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I think we've definitely sped through as compared to the first time we recorded this.
Definitely. Oh, Allie is weird about her relationship with her mom. And they
yeah, that is kind of weird.
They kind of, that's another thing that like the ending, she is making time for her mom now, but like her mom keeps texting her, and you hear a couple voicemails where she's like, hey, haven't heard from you in a little while, just like want to see if you're doing good and everything. And then Allie, on the plane ride before the cat happens, she like calls her mom and says, surprise, I'm on my way to see you.
Yeah.
And then so like frames it as a visit to go see her mom, and then all this other stuff happens, so they can't quite hang out, and then Allie just doesn't make time for her, and then they finally have a heart-to-heart thing.
Yeah.
And then they make time for each other and everything. So it's like,
it's one of those,
she shifts her priorities, and this is another way that she shifts her priorities.
Mom-daughter relationships where the mom is like really supportive.
The mom is really supportive, but in like a set dressing way.
Yeah.
And she's like, she's clearly got a life outside of her daughter, which is good, because her introduction scene is
she's having sex with one of Allie's former teachers.
Yeah. So she's like, you remember Mr. Jones or whatever it was. So yeah, that's just, I don't really have a whole lot with that. That was just another thing that it was happened in the movie.
Yep.
Yeah. Production facts. It was released February 10th, 2023 on Amazon. It has a runtime of 106 minutes, and I think it's rated R because of the nudity.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah. It has a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 62% audience score, 57 out of 100 Metacritic, 3.5 stars on Amazon itself. I think the 72% versus 62% audience score is interesting. I feel like
it's interesting that critics like this more than audiences
most
do.
of the other ones that we've talked about, which at this point, with how podcast time works, I don't know if those episodes have come out yet by the time this is out. Probably not. But I feel like if there's a difference between those two percentages, most of the time, the movies that we've covered so far, audiences will like a movie more.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Again, no follow-up on that. Just a thing.
Was it a financial success?
It's a big old question mark, because that's how streaming movies work. So I'm unsure of a specific number for the budget, but a bunch of reviews that I kept seeing for the movie described it as a low-budget indie comedy. It feels like an indie comedy, but guess who made this? Amazon Studios.
Yeah.
Guess who has the most money in the world?
It also, it doesn't look low budget.
No, it looks great.
The lighting is top notch.
Yeah.
And, the cinematography isn't, anything super special. There's no, stylizedness to it.
I think it's just the quality, the overall quality of it is, there are a couple things that maybe fell through the cracks, or the writing isn't as polished or whatever. And it's you can forgive that for an indie movie.
It's like if Hallmark didn't spend only a week on their movies.
It's better than Hallmark, but it's worse than everything else. Or I don't know what the top of that sandwich is, but yeah, it's a step above Hallmark. And then articles I found kept referring to it as an independent film, but it was exclusively released through Amazon. So
I guess they're the distributor, so it's technically still an independent.
Are they the distributor? Because they're also it was Amazon Studios that made it.
Oh, no, you're right.
So it's...
No, you're right. That's not independent.
No. Not even a little bit.
No.
It was written by Alison Brie and Dave Franco. It stars Alison Brie, and it's directed by Dave Franco. This is the second movie that they've written / directed together. The first was the horror movie The Rental. I think that was 2019, maybe? I forget the year for that. There's not much specific about it that stands out as a thing that you could pinpoint to as Franco's directing style, but again, this isn't a super stylized movie. It's pretty straightforward, and I don't know enough about The Rental to be able to compare the two movies. But it's also interesting that we have such a big issue with the writing and the acting. When I was wondering if maybe is she just over rehearsed at that point, or you're too familiar with the material where then it gets away from being or feeling authentic when you're delivering it. if you know like every single stage that line went through the writing process. I don't know, but she knows, like,
but it could also, it could be the thing, because he directed it, that he trusted her to do it, like to play the part, and maybe like he didn't direct her as much as he should have
because they're married.
Because they're married.
Yeah.
And so she just did it more as Allison Brie.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
less than and not as much as like doing a character.
This was also an idea that they came up with during quarantine, like on a walk together. So I wonder if it was like percolating through that whole time of like, at that point, then the character kind of becomes you, or there's not a whole lot of separation.
Sure,
yeah. It was edited by Ernie Gilbert, who also worked on Donald Glover's show Atlanta and the This Is America music video. So another community connection. And then he has a strong background in music videos, and it's said it helped especially in editing the scene of the band's final performance before the wedding to really sell the stakes of the scene and establish the dynamics between the three main characters.
Which I can see, because that was a good scene.
It's a very long scene, and it's very good. It's like the point where the dynamics of everything really changes, or like there are some actual stakes to the relationship, I guess, where Allison Brie is still trying to actively go for Sean. This is a bar that they're all meeting at, like the day after she found out that they're engaged or something. So Cassidy's band is performing. You can see her, like, Allison Brie was recording on her phone. You can see like Cassidy in her element, or like at her best, basically, and then Allison Brie is able to appreciate that, or that aspect of her, and then Cassidy tries to embarrass Allie by saying, because Allie makes these little songs, and that's like a thing that she was known for, is just making, like, doing sing-songy dialogue, basically. They're not good songs, it's just a thing that she would do. So she calls Allie up on stage to try and embarrass her, and then Allie is able to like make up a song basically, and like gets everyone back on her side, and then Cassidy is annoyed by that, but is, I don't know, I guess respects her or something. And then they have their sit down talk, and then Sean is over in the corner just like being so upset that these two women are speaking to each other.
Can't believe the two women that I've kissed in the last 24 hours are talking to each other right now. What do I do?
Do you think they're talking about me? Yes. Yeah.
Well, we definitely sped through that compared to when we recorded this the first time.
Yeah, I'm not as mad about the movie anymore.
We got it all out.
Yeah.
In the last one.
It's very cathartic doing a podcast.
Yeah. I think we still touched on everything that was important. Like, that really like matters in this movie.
Cassidy has great friends.
Oh yeah. Cassidy has two really great friends who the entire time are like, we will take Allie out.
Yeah.
Not murder, but just like,
we will remove her from the situation.
Yeah, and they do at times too, and it's just like they're the healthiest people.
Yeah. Allie kind of does her videographer job a little bit, where she says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do interviews with everyone the night of the rehearsal dinner." Yeah. And then her friends, Cassidy's friends, Allie tries to go after Sean a couple of times to like talk to him or whatever. Yeah. And her friends are like, hey, we got to do our interviews right now. Like, they separate her as much as they can, and they keep her busy. And then there's another clunky dialogue thing of, they're all in a sauna together. It's a spa day, pre-wedding activity. I would love to know how much this wedding cost. But the two bandmates are exiting the sauna as Allie is walking in. And, like, we know as the audience that she is going after Sean, but none of her actions around anyone in public has really reflected that, besides the fact that you're hanging out with your ex-boyfriend during his wedding.
A big thing.
Not an ignorable red flag. But her friends, Cassidy's friends, are leaving, and as they're walking past Allie, they just go, "Oh, look, it's the intruder or the poser or something like that." And it's just like, yes, you're not wrong, but
it was weird.
It was the lamest way you could have said
it was
that.
A very like high school thing to say.
Like, I can't believe she wore that to lunch.
You wore that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But but I respect the energy behind it.
Well, I think that brings us to us rating the movie. We have a 4 rating system with 5 options.
Yep.
0 out of 4 is, oh no, bad movie. 1 is, that was a movie.
It happened.
Yep. 2 is a technically good movie. We changed that.
But yeah.
From the last 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Where 2 was like enjoyable.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We thought that was not quite there. So
it didn't quite match. Like, it has good elements. So we've changed it to like a technically good movie.
Yeah.
Like the soundtrack and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
3 is an enjoyable movie, and it's well made, or just it's enjoyable enough. I don't know. 4, Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, that's the movie of the year of the movie. My rating for Somebody I Used to Know is a 2 out of 4.
Mm-hmm.
What's your rating?
Shocker, it's also a 2 out of 4.
Whoa.
I really feel like this movie is almost good.
It's almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think 2 or 3 more drafts of a script.
Yeah. Or just like, man, if you really got a different editor for that trailer, honestly.
Yeah, it's
like,
true. It swayed.
If you watch this movie without, this is bad advice for the end of a podcast where you just listened about the entire movie, but if you went into this movie with 0 knowledge of the plot or anything, I feel like you would be pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah.
But the marketing works against it. The little marketing that did exist, I feel like there wasn't a whole lot when it came out anyway.
That's true.
Well, I mean, I feel like that even with all that, the plot that the trailer presented seemed far more interesting than
correct.
Like, that was actually a love triangle instead of a V.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. It is a better story.
Which I can appreciate, like, making a platonic connection be the focus of your movie instead of romantic. Like, romance being in movies, like, is really shoved down your throats and kind of gets annoying after a while. And like showing that you can have an interesting friendship dynamic, or like that could have also been cool. But because the way that they end their whole interaction from the wedding weekend is Allie leaves the wedding early. She doesn't stick around for the actual wedding, which is good.
Yep.
And then like they follow each other on Instagram, but that's the extent of their relationship. Like, that's how much that they talk to each other.
Yeah.
So like you don't get any follow-up of any of the grounds that they covered, and like maybe they would meet up for coffee every 3 years or something. Like they're not gonna hang out anytime soon. So it just meh.
It was, like you said, almost good.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
that's kind of what we thought of the movie.
We watch other movies.
It's true.
We watch a decent amount of movies. So at the end of the episode, we kind of talk about other movies that we have seen in 2023 but aren't necessarily from this year. Yeah.
So to keep with a rom-com theme, we're going to talk about So I Married an Ex-Murderer, which is a great movie from the 90s. It's a rom-com. It's Michael Myers.
Yeah.
That is a movie that I would give a 3 out of 4 because it's well made and enjoyable. It's a lot of fun. I don't want to really like give too much away.
1993. I was just trying to look.
Oh, that's perfect. We can talk about it on a whole episode for patrons.
Oh, that's true.
Because it's a 30-year anniversary.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. The humor is great.
Soundtrack is also good.
Soundtrack is very fun. If you really like the song, there she goes.
They play it about 5 times.
This is the movie for you.
Yeah.
They don't just play the same version though. They do different versions in this movie.
She's still going.
Yeah. There's a lot of just great random characters that like don't really add too much to the story, but it's just like, this is a comedy. It tonally all the way through, it makes sense.
It's a good movie for like 4 character actors.
Yeah. Alan Arkin is in it. For some reason, he's not credited, but he plays a character in multiple scenes, and he's so good in it.
Yeah.
I really don't want to like give too much away.
It's also been out for 30 years, so like
but
if you aren't spoiled, then congratulations.
The title is So I Married an Axe Murderer, so you get what what to
someone is an axe murderer involved. Not saying who.
But yeah, that is a movie that we watched.
Also subverts 80s 90s rom-com tropes.
Yeah.
More successfully.
Yeah.
I would say.
And it's not like, there is still Michael Myers humor, but it's not overtly Michael Myers humor.
No, we do quote "Whoa, man" a lot.
Yes. Which
that's the most like,
you should watch the movie to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's the most Michael Myers humor I think that you get. Is
that, and when he goes, "Hello," like that. Yeah. Bryce, you said that you had a movie that you.
Oh yeah. So sticking with tropes and romantic comedy, I want to tell you about Willy's Wonderland. Because god,
yeah.
Was this have you two seen it?
I've seen it.
I haven't seen it, but I know what it is.
Yeah.
I will say, at some point, we will have to watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Yeah.
And Five Nights is in.
Yeah, there's a Five Nights movie coming out.
Oh, that is this year?
Yeah.
I thought it was next year. Okay.
Well, let me.
So if we watch Five Nights this year, then this would be another good time to talk about that movie.
Here's the thing. This movie made me way less excited for Five Nights.
Yeah.
This movie was
I heard
awesome.
that like this movie really did what you really want.
Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
Just.
Which there's so many movies with Nick Cage this year.
This was like towards the he's going towards the peak of his renaissance. Like this movie came out and it was like, oh okay, he's back and he's doing goofy stuff again. But like he's very good in this. He doesn't say a single word. He had the best part of the movie to me is his timer going off every hour. He stops whatever he's doing.
Mid-fight, mid-anything.
Anything. He goes to the fridge. He takes out a soda. He drinks it. He plays a game. He has his 15-minute break. The timer goes off again. He crushes the soda, throws it in the trash can, and then goes back to whatever it was that he was doing. There's no explanation for it.
No, there's like I love that part because I was afterwards.
Yeah.
While I was watching it, it did not bother me because it was so good. Yeah. I didn't care. I just wanted to see it. Afterwards, I was like, okay, who is this guy? I wanted, what was his motivation? What?
Yeah.
I looked at it and they purposely gave him little to no backstory. The only things you know about him are that he's a loner drifter. Mm-hmm. He drinks these sodas, energy drinks, and he has a military background because you see dog tags in the rearview mirror. That's all you get because they wanted you to be able to put yourself in that character a little bit because it's like they took the immortality and durability of the villain in a lot of horror movies and gave it to the main character, the protagonist, and you're just like, heck yeah, man! let's see him just Nick Cage curb stomp a gorilla onto a toilet, which that toilet should have broke, but I was here for it. Mm-hmm. And it spawned a lot of really cool theories that came from it. Like some people were speculating, his parents were killed by these animatronics, or an interesting one was he was part of the cultists, and he disagreed with them. They broke off, and that's how he knew where to defend himself from these attacks. But the one that I liked the most is that the premise is. This isn't spoilers. If you know Five Nights at Freddy's, you know this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But spirits of these serial killers are now in these animatronics. Some people propose the theory that this is one of the spirits from the Willy animatronic. That whenever it transferred, this spirit went into a person.
Oh.
And so that's why he's taking those breaks. That's why he doesn't talk. Because it's like, you get a 15 intermission in between these shows. He has to take his 15 intermission, do that. And then when he's on, he's cleaning, he's doing something all the time. And I I like that one.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
I think that one's interesting. But it's just this movie's so relieving. Just seeing everyone.
This is a. I know we don't do Haas, but I feel like it's a 3 out of 5. Where 3.5 out of 4, where it's not Oscar worthy. I totally understand that, but it's so well done for what it's trying to do that like if you're able to buy into it, then it's just like, yeah, I'm ready to go with wherever this is going.
The premise and Nick Cage being Nick Cage.
Yeah. Even without speaking, that he's like it. Part of like the appeal of the movie is because it's so weird and like Nick Cage is in it, and that is gonna make it weirder. But I also feel like I don't know who else could be in that. Like you can kind of put anyone into that role because it's not a speaking role, but it's still, I don't know. It's very good for Nick Cage. The casting is really good. Yeah. I also kind of like that it's kind of like that video game character trope of like, you should be down absolutely, like a single hit, you should have a concussion, but then like you keep going and whatever, and like you also don't speak, and like you can kind of just put yourself into the protagonist's skin and just go with wherever the plot is going. So it's like
that was part of their plan. I think Nick Cage proposed that.
Yeah.
In the story, it was like, hey, what if we add the pinball game? So it's like, I'm leveling up in a game after 8, beat each boss. You know. Okay, Nick.
He was right.
Yeah, it was great. And like the thing that made me realize how much this was being carried by, and also the animatronics were awesome.
Yeah.
Visually, everything. But I didn't realize how much he was carrying it until other people came into it. Mm-hmm. Like, because you get some other people in the beginning, and then it's just Nick Cage for the longest time. And then the Scooby Gang comes in and tries to help out. Yeah. And then you realize, I don't care about any of these kids. Some of them have some funny one-liners.
Yeah.
There's one kid that it looked like they were trying to start something with him. He was like, there's many things you don't know about me. I grow my own pot. And then he just dies.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't care about any of these kids. Give me more Nick Cage.
They kind of established lore with like the cop too.
Do you not know the backstory? Yeah. Let me tell you. And then goes into it. The entire time, Nick Cage in world is not paying attention.
Yeah.
Doesn't care.
That's good.
He's just there. Like, it's just a job for him to take care of this place. It's a good one.
Yeah, I'll check it out at some point. Well, I think that brings us to our conclusion of today's episode.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching today's episode of the Year of the Movie podcast, the podcast where we talk about movies from the year of the movie, 2023.
And others sometimes.
We will see you next week.